Savior, conqueror, hero, villain. You are all these things, Revan. And yet, you are nothing. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zereth Prevails, folks. Today, we have another Faction Essentials in our ongoing series. Try to get one of these out every couple weeks or so. There's not a strict schedule, but that's my rough, approximate schedule. And so, today we're going to tackle the Jedi Knight Revan teams, where he's the lead, where he's the central part of it. Now, I've been using him a lot lately as part of other Galactic Legend teams. He's really good with Rey, taking down Jedi Master Kenobi. He's really good with other teams such as Jedi Master Luke. He's just a great character overall. He's been out for, I don't know, has it been 3 years, 4 years? He's a relatively old character at this point, but he is still one of the very best legendary characters out there. In my opinion, he has more utility than Darth Revan. Even though Darth Revan came after him and is kind of better, Darth Revan's team is better than Jedi Revan's team, in just like one-on-one. Jedi Revan has more utility in the game overall. I think that's not very difficult to argue, in my opinion. So what we're going to do today, I want to talk about his core characters. He's going to have 4 characters that he really wants, and then who are you going to take with his 5th? How are you going to use the team? Like put mods on them, do all these things. Like what are your priorities? What zetas you're going to do? Everything like that. And then I'm going to show you 3 examples of teams he could take down. Now those 3 teams so he's not limited to that, but that's what we're going to focus on for now. I'm going to do 5v5 this time. 3v3 has a lot of good examples, but yeah, we're going to do 5v5. So that being said, before we jump in and talk about modding, I want to just remind you guys we're trying to mount the algorithm, grow the channel, and it's been working. You guys have been amazing. The channel's been blowing up a little bit, at least minor explosions, but it has been really awesome, and I appreciate that. We gotta stay on it though. So please, if you want to support the channel for free, all you've got to do is hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment in the comment area. If you want to do both, I would really appreciate that. If you don't want to, then tell me why. But seriously, it would be an enormous help. We really appreciate you guys for helping me with that. And that being said, hit that sub button if you haven't yet, and let's move on. Let's go to the game, shall we? We're gonna go to the game. This time, we won't be surprised. Whoa, we're in the game. How'd we get in the game? Madness. You know, I saw someone screenshotted a whole comment thread the other day of people cringing at that, so I apologize to some of you. Some people think it's funny though, so we'll do it sometimes. That being said, core 4. These are the 4 characters that we want on the Jedi Revan team, and it's clearly you can go other directions, but this is the essential team, guys. So Jedi Revan and these other 4. Well, now I'm gonna show you Grandmaster Yoda here real quick, just because it's important to help you understand what's going on with him the whole time, because the whole strategy is kind of based. This whole team is kind of just an engine to run Grandmaster Yoda through. Like he's the one who's doing everything, but everyone is facilitating him doing it. So what's happening is a few things. He's taking 1,000,000 turns approximately. So first off, the most important one, guys, is if he's hitting an enemy with 50% or more health, he gains 40% turn meter. Now remember, this doesn't work against a team that doesn't have turn meter, or that doesn't allow turn meter gains, such as Jedi Master Kenobi or Hux, for instance. Those 2 are just off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more, but so what he does, he hits them, he gains foresight, whatever. We can't go over every single thing, but if they're below 50% health, then he doesn't gain that turn meter, and that's very important to pay attention to, because sometimes you need that turn meter so he goes again, because he's being called to assist so often. He is also so he gains buffs and everything. That's nice. The other things are, though, he doesn't just gain turn meter from his basic, he also does his AoE from here, and I wish that I had GAC or territory battle footage as well. He does some crazy things in territory battles, but I don't really like to take Jedi Revan lead in territory battles anyway. So a little bit sketchy. We're just going to focus on mostly GAC counters, but if we're just being upfront, I think that's the most important use of Jedi Revan lead teams. But I'm kind of digressing here. The other thing, when he does his AoE, he grabs all the buffs that he's allowed to copy, so the non-unique ones, and then when he does that, he gains a bonus turn as long as I think he just gains. Oh, hold on, I clicked the wrong thing. Yeah, so gains a bonus turn as long as there is at least one more Jedi on his team. So if he's just solo, he'll do his AoE and nothing will happen. So you have to remember that if you're trying to solo a team with him, which typically doesn't happen. Now, battle meditation is the other really important one, guys, and you want his Zeta for this. This is one of the most important Zetas in the game, in my opinion, because what happens is he has all these buffs from grabbing them with his AoE, and then he's going to be able to hand all of those buffs to the rest of his team, which is really nice. It's really crazy, but it works really well. And but if you put his Zeta on, he also gives foresight to everyone, and he also gains extra turn meter. I guess it's a chance to gain turn meter before, and this makes it a guaranteed amount of turn meter. He gains turn meter. He gains, 35% turn meter plus 10% turn meter for each other living Jedi. So if he has 4 other living Jedi on his team, he is gaining another 40% turn meter, which, if you can do math, guys, I don't know. I want to show you guys. I will demonstrate my quick math skills. I'm stalling because I need more time. Just kidding. 75% turn meter from doing this as well. And so he's gaining all this turn meter all over the place. You don't care about his lead, guys. Do not put a Zeta on his lead. That is totally not a good idea. I promise. It's just you'll never use it. I never use it. I applied it, and then a couple weeks later, Bastila came out with her lead, which was way better in every respect. It just totally thwarted made his completely useless. So don't put his leadership Zeta on. It is an important Zeta, or the other one is important, not his leadership though. So anyways, Grandmaster Yoda is taking lots of turns, so keep that in mind. We'll talk about his modding in just a minute as well, but here's the thing. Jedi Revan does a lot of things. He is not someone who does a lot of damage on a personal level. He is a facilitator, and he hands out a lot of stats to people. So his basic just does damage. It gains him turn meter if he hits someone who's marked, and marked is maybe the best ability that he has. So what marked does is it lets you he can always target whoever he wants, no matter what, regardless of if he's leader, if he's wherever, he can always target whoever he wants. And if he happens to have this direct focus ability available, what happens is he puts buff immunity on a character, he puts mark on a character, neither of which can go away, and that mark counts as it's a debuff on your opponent. It can't go away though, and it counts as a taunt. It's forcing a taunt on someone for 2 turns, and then everyone, once he does this, he calls everyone on his team to assist on that character, and they do less damage, but it does a lot of awesome stuff. It can stun people so it reduces their turn meter, which does require a potency check, but we'll get into that in a minute, and stun them for a turn. So it can also stun them if they're not whatever, and then it also increases their cooldown. So sometimes you stun them, so it doesn't matter, but sometimes even if you don't stun them, then it still increases their cooldowns, which is a pretty big thing, because that works on Galactic Legends. It works on everyone. If you just need a Droideka to not do his big hit, you can increase his cooldowns, and that is not resistible. That just happens. The stun, everything else can be resisted. So can't be resisted with the cooldown increase. The rest of them can be resisted, but Mark is it's still it's a vanishingly rare ability. Being able to let your entire team attack someone past a taunt, really strong. Now, if he's the leader, he's also doing a lot of cool stuff. So he's got, I guess, tactical supremacy is in a minute, but his AoE is really cool. He can swap turn meters, so you can kind of strategically hand a turn to someone, and then if they have a ton of turn meter anyways, then they go, he gets their turn meter, and then he takes another turn immediately, which is a way to cycle through your abilities really fast. So it also heals everyone and cleanses everyone. And so it's really cool. It only works with Jedi to swap, but it's pretty cool. It only heals Jedi and Old Republic. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize it healed Old Republic as well. But, okay, his leadership is kind of interesting. People always ask me about this. Why do you say you get plus 35% or plus 35 speed with his leadership? And the answer is he gains 5% per Jedi, or sorry, 5 speed per Jedi on his team. So that looks like 25 speed, right? But he's Old Republic, and actually on this particular team, he's probably going to be gaining more than that. So he'll gain 5 speed for his Jedi part of it. You guys can see for every Jedi, and he also gains 5 speed for every Old Republic character. He is both, and therefore he gets both. He gives his entire squad plus 5 speed for both, so he gets 10 for himself. If Jolee is on the team, he's also Jedi and Old Republic, so another 10. If Bastila is on the team, she's Jedi and Old Republic, so that's 30. And then if he has any other Jedi on the team, so that's only 3 characters, but they're not going to be Old Republic. I guess you could have Juhani on the team, but you don't want her. She's sucks. She's awful. She might be relevant with Starkiller now, who knows, but she's not worth mentioning more than this. I've already wasted so much more time than she's worth just talking about her, and her character is just awful as well. So she's not worth it, guys. The other Jedi though, let's Grandmaster Yoda on the team, and let's say Hoda, for instance, then they'll give you another 5%. So the whole team in this case will get plus 40 speed from his leadership. So you just have to do the math and readjust. You're like, okay, we're not going to take Jolee this time. So we're going to add a different Jedi that's not Old Republic. Okay, we're going to be plus 35 speed this time. Oh, sometimes we're going to undersize. Like in 3v3, he's going to actually be less than that because he can only take 3 allies total. He can only take 3 Jedi because it's 3v3. And if you can do more, you're using an APK and a cheater face. So you also gain... So another interesting part of it that I actually didn't really realize is he's also gaining crit chance and offense to give, well, let's see. So all these things at the start of the battle, Jedi allies gain all this stuff. Yeah, okay, so so all of these guys gain the following. So yeah, he's actually in 3v3, he does less damage. His team does less damage. I guess I never really processed that. Like, the extra offense is actually pretty nice there. But it doesn't really matter. His lead is where he gets a lot of offense. I knew that. Everyone gains, 40% extra offense as his leadership, which Bastila is actually a pretty good alternative to his for leadership as well, but that's where the big damage, or the big offense comes from. Okay, yeah, I just kind of forgot about that. That's all, folks. Don't mind me. Don't mind old Zareth here. He knows what he's talking about. So another really key thing is when he's the lead, his entire team gains tenacity up for a turn, which means if you're facing someone who's going to be faster, like a really super fast Darth Vader, for instance, if Vader tries to do his AoE right off the bat, then everyone has tenacity up and resists it. So it's pretty nice. He also has so many other things, guys. So he also, when he is the leader, then every time they attack out of a Jedi attacks out of turn, they recover 20% of their protection, and they do more damage. And he does more stuff. So he also has strategic advantage, which is granted ability that he hands out and around to people. I'll have to show you guys how it works, but whenever someone has strategic advantage, it's one of the blue abilities. Whenever they have it, they can't be countered, which is very useful with Grandmaster Yoda. It's one of my favorite abilities, one of those skill things that really works really works really nicely. I'll have to show you guys, though, when we're countering Grievous here in a minute. So, other than that, we've got Savior. This is another really awesome thing. If he's in the leadership position, leader, when someone's about to die, when a Jedi reaches 0 health and protection, then he keeps them alive with Savior. And it doesn't matter, unless it's a remove from the board, like an Annihilate, like Nihilus can do, or Ahsoka can do that, a cat, whatever. If it's just damage, though, that kills them, they don't die. A lot of times they regain a lot of their health and protection, and if they have healing immunity, they gain none of that, but so they're hanging out with 1 hit point. But the awesome thing is then they get a turn, and you can keep them alive for just a little more. Keep in mind, this isn't a death. This is not something, it's not a revive. It's just, so if you want to use him with Qui-Gon Jinn, for instance, with his new Omicron, it doesn't work this way. Jedi Revan would just keep Qui-Gon alive 1 time that he would have died, and then Qui-Gon would die, and then everyone would get their buffs. So you're not being clever with that. I mean, it's kind of a clever idea, just doesn't actually work the way you think it does. So anyways, the Savior is just totally ridiculous too. If he's not in the leadership slot, if someone kills Jedi Revan first, then he can't use it on himself. Otherwise, if he's the lead, then it triggers on himself. And this is really key for some of our strategies. Anyways, Hero is also awesome. He also hands out a bunch of things. So he's immune to stun, he's immune to ability block, he has extra tenacity, health, steal, all this different stuff. And then other light side allies gain half of those when he's on the team, and they go away when he dies because it's a unique. So, oh yeah, and they're doubled while Revan is in the leader slot. So, all this different stuff, guys. He's so full of different things. If you want of different abilities and functionality, he's a very complex kit, and it's taken a long time for me to get used to everything that he does. If you want to maximize him mod-wise, I think because it just depends. If you're going to be running him with Bastila, then don't need to worry about potency. Otherwise, you kind of want a little potency. I tend to just stack him full of health or protection because he is going to be, I use him with Galactic Legends all the time, and he just needs to stay alive. He's kind of squishy. That's one of his only negative things. Otherwise, like, he doesn't need damage. He just needs speed as much as you can, and then health and protection. I believe that, yeah, we just have protection on every part of him, and except for the speed arrow. And then we prioritized speed, kind of. He could be way faster, but keep in mind he's 316, but then on most teams he's going to be plus 35 speed, so he's going to be 350 if he's the leader. So that should be enough. Now, real quick on Grandmaster Yoda, we'll cover him next in his mods. He is actually going to just be, because he's gaining all this turn meter, he doesn't, on this particular team, he doesn't need a lot of speed. So I have him some speed, it's nice to have him a little bit there, but then otherwise, he's modded for pure offense. He doesn't have a high crit chance because it's special damage, so health is fine. It's probably more transferable to if you want to put him on another team, but then an offense cross, an offense triangle instead of crit damage, even though I have a crit chance set on him, offense all the way, and then an offense arrow. It has some speed on it. This is a pretty decent cross, or whatever it's called, arrow. It works fine. So, gosh, yeah, we're just talking about kits here so much, because there's so much going on. All right, Jolie, really important thing, guys. I've told you guys a million times, but I want to keep making sure that people, if this is your first video, you understand what to do with it. So Jolie has plus 100% tenacity, just part of his kit, and people are like, oh, cool, he has more tenacity. You need more, though. Here's the thing. At the start of the battle, he gains bonus crit avoid equal to half of his tenacity. So he has 100%. You want to give him another 100% or so. You want him to never, ever get crit. That is really important. I'll show you guys, especially against General Grievous squads. And so if you're using this team to counter Grievous squads, which I still do sometimes, in fact, he just becomes almost unkillable. You need to make sure you want to have enough crit avoid that it overlaps into what Grievous can do. So Grievous negates 40%, or is it 50% of his crit avoid, and so he needs to have 150% crit avoid or so, something like that. So yes, put a lot of health on him if you can. and put some speed on for sure, but you're never going to make him fast. Really, he's a very slow character. But then make sure you have extra tenacity on him. You see, we have 100 tenacity on him right now. He's gaining 100 more from that unique, so he's at 200. Then he gains another, so he's at 200 tenacity. If you chop that in half, then you get 100, so that's 100% crit avoid. And then you put a crit avoid arrow on him as well, and that adds up to, what, 142, something like that, percent crit avoid, which means that General Grievous teams, even with max crit chance and the crit avoid negation that Grievous has, it still doesn't crit him, and that's really important. It also means he can't be stunned or anything like that for the most part, and yeah, that's it. The other part of his kit that is really important, though, is with his basic, you want to be prioritizing basics on him a lot of times, because if he revives, then what happens is if it deals damage, so if he attacks and he can't deal damage for whatever reason, they have damage immunity, or he misses, it doesn't work. But if it does hit, it reduces cooldowns. So when he does his revive, which is his really important ability, it's on a cooldown of 5, but you can get that reduced really quickly if you remember this ability. The other one is just a call to assist. He also lets people heal and everything. He's a very cool character. Basti has a lot of cool things going on her. She has a basic that does ability block. She has a thing that calls someone to assist, and it super buffs them, so she can buff Grandmaster Yoda, and then he can hand all the buffs to everyone. And you guys can look at all the suite of buffs that she hands out. There's also a Dispel, which can miss, so if they have Foresight, it'll miss, but it dispels and stuns. Really nice. It does a little extra damage compared to her other ability, her basic as well. And then her initiative is really nice. Well, she's actually the leader sometimes because you want to put the Zeta on her even if you don't use her leadership that often. This is a really good early game Zeta, actually. But her whole team gains protection up 200%, and everyone gains, instead of her giving everyone speed, she is giving everyone turn meter at the start of the phase. So you can do the math of it I think it's, let's see, for turn meter, it is whatever your speed is divided by 0.85, and that's what your speed is that's what your effective starting speed is going to be. So sometimes she actually makes her team faster than Jedi Revan is, in fact, because that turn meter is really nice. But keep in mind, there's also certain characters like HK47, for instance, which will make it so that you don't gain this bonus turn meter because everyone starts with protection up. So it's kind of a convoluted thing. Protection up is all based off of a character's max health, and so 200% of whatever a character's max health is what they start with. They start with a ton of tenacity as well. Tanks start with a taunt. Usually we don't have a tank on this team, but sometimes everyone starts with 150% tenacity, and they deal extra damage while they have protection up. So really good stuff. The other really key thing, so she also has Legendary Battle Meditation. You guys can read that. It gives everyone, when she'll take a turn, she hands it to everyone. It stays on them for a turn, and so it's not always perfect, but people hit back, like when they have it, they hit back. They also gain a bunch of potency. They also, all this stuff. Force Bond also, she makes it so that if Jedi Revan is the lead, then she hands herself and Revan extra accuracy, potency, and tenacity, and all this stuff. So it's all very intense. You want speed on her in general, and then so that's it for the core characters. The rest of them I'm not going to go over in detail. Jedi Knight Luke, nice to have his stun and everything. He's my favorite lately to put on this team just because of the way I kind of stack my Jedi and organize them. I also, Ki-Adi-Mundi goes well with them. General Kenobi goes well. Jedi Knight Anakin can go well if you need some way to stop them from healing, like a healing immunity thing, or he's a good just fill-in character. Jedi Revan is really good because he just facilitates all Jedi doing awesome things. He is actually the reason Rey in the game is not a Jedi, because they didn't think they could make a kit for Rey that Jedi Revan wouldn't just make super broken. So that's why she's not a Jedi, actually. And then Plo, actually, for the mirror match is really nice just because he gives everyone an extra turn meter boost. You guys don't know what the horrors of that meta were, guys. The Jedi Revan versus Jedi Revan was a nightmare in Arena. But Plo Koon made it much more consistent back then. That's why he's Gear 12 to this day. And then the other team that is a little bit different, and I don't have time to count or to show. I'll show you guys this counter, but I'll link the in the video description how to do this. Jedi Revan lead using this team on the bottom can counter Supreme Leader Kylo, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty cool. The video, as I say, in the video description, it works, and even with Jedi Luke kind of being nerfed a little bit, he still does some good work. So, all right, guys, we've talked about kits and all of the different things, modding for way too long, but let's show you a few different examples of how all this works, and then I'll get you out of here because holy balls, this is taking a while, but this is important stuff, guys. Understanding the mechanics is actually a really important thing. So, first we're going to start with a kind of easier team. We're going undersize in GAC, facing a Newt team, and this is, so one thing about this, one reason I chose this was because Nest is on the team. It's not a perfect example, but if she has bonus protection, then you can like kind of reduce her max health. Now, sorry for the freeze frame on my face up top. This is just a GAC recap, but so you can see Jedi Revan's about to go, and no one's taunting right now, but he could, if they were taunting, he can select whoever he wants, and he wants to mark one person. He wants to choose one character to take out and increase their cooldowns and everything, stun them potentially. So do we want to take out Dooku first? Do we want to take out Droideka? At the end of the day, Dooku's probably more scary. I love Hoda on this team because he gives that master's training that buffs everyone. Bastila gets the stun or the dispel on Droideka, and then we got stun from Luke and everything. So now I tried to just nuke Nest right away, but at the very least I wanted to get her protection off so that next time she took a turn, then I could just take her out. So I guess this wasn't a great example because Nest just died like a chump, but in this case, Jedi Revan does have a really cool method of taking her out. I don't think we have time to cover it. It essentially just shrinks her max health by a lot. You just have to have enough tenacity or potency to make it work through her tenacity. So anyways, this team, I mean, this was never going to be close. Keep in mind, here, I'll rewind for just 1 second here. Okay, so note that their protection bars are a little bit off. We're trying to get a lot of good banners here, right? So we need to call people to assist. That's part of his kit. They gain 20% of their max protection back in health. They heal that if they are called to assist. So you can see here the last couple moves. We're going to call Jedi Revan here because he's the only one with missing protection. Well, I guess Hoda is a little bit, but we call Jedi Master or Jedi Revan to assist so that he gains that last little 20%. Oh, well, so he gained a little bit, but now we're going to call... There we go. We healed him. That's what happened. And then we called him to assist, got the 61, and called it a day. Now, next up is going to be against General Grievous. This is a pretty an older counter, as you might say, but this is probably the most iconic matchup from the back in the day. So we have Hoda as one of the characters. We throw the saber to pass turn meter to Hoda, who we're trying to just bait out their B2 to be able to do his AoE, because we need to mark his B2 as soon as we can with Jedi Revan. So Grandmaster Yoda could go. It would be nice if Basti had been able to give him some buffs first, but I still wanted to get Foresight up. Now we do have Mark on B2, so now we can hit him even though Magna Guard is taunting right now. And now we're just calling Yoda to assist as much as we can, because we want him to gain as much turn meter. So basics here, even though his big hit is nice, he doesn't gain any turn meter from it. So everyone's just calling Yoda to assist. You can see that B1 or B2 still has 50% health, and we don't want to do an AoE there, because if we do that, then then it hits everyone and B2 gets a bonus turn, and then he eventually slips out of the mark, and you don't want that to happen. So anyways, we took him out. Grievous take a turn, and it was nice actually. My goal is always to take B2 B2 out before Grievous takes a turn, so that his initial AoE is actually in response to them all taking their turn, or to them dying instead of him just taking a turn. Then we kill B2, then he does another AoE. Now that B2 is gone, we can just mark Grievous, and even though it can be a little bit challenging to take him out because B1's going to be healing him sometimes, we can still we can manage it usually. So keep in mind, he just dispels all of the debuffs that aren't locked on him every time. This is where I should, what I should do, yeah, use the big hit it did kill him, but if I didn't kill him there, I could have reduced his turn meter. So otherwise, that's about it. We don't need to look at the rest. This is just cleanup, but that's probably one of the most iconic matchups ever. I got it down to a pretty good science back then. Now this one is the way I've taken out Supreme Leader Kylo. So Kylo goes first, and this kind of exhibits that savior ability that I was telling you about. He would have died, but then he revived himself, and he's just good to go. Well, he didn't revive himself. He just staved off death once, and now that's exhausted. That can't work on anyone else. But now we got an immediate turn. Hand the turn to Luke. Luke's going to stun everyone. Hoda is going to give Master's Training to Luke so that he does extra damage to people. We're going to put the extra buffs on Luke from Basti. Take out the one tank that's here. Need to take out the either Hux or Red. Red Troopers may be more scary, but everyone has ability block, so we can pick and choose. In the end, I decided I wanted to take out Red Trooper because Kylo had ability block. We want ability block as much as we can. So Basti did her basic, did not get ability block. We're calling Basti again to get ability block on her though, because we do not want Kylo to be using his specials. Now the officer and Hux can both give him a turn, and I think Hux can actually reduce his increase his cooldowns. But one way or another, we're just going to. We can kill all these ads. I've also done it so that we can take him out. That you can take him out before you take out the ads. Now keep in mind here though, guys, so you see, we're doing direct focus. We're putting a mark on him, but against him, he's immune to any kind of taunt of any sort. He can't be assigned a mark. He can't get death mark. He can't get any kind of thing. So we can call the mass assist, and that was nice, but he's not marked right now, so we can't just select him from the very start and try to take him out. We have to get through the rest of his troops. So 58 is actually an incredibly good score here. Sometimes it goes sideways. Not 100% of a counter. It kind of is. If you have all the turn meter stuff down right, it works. But alright folks, those are 3 examples. I would love to hear what you think. What other things is Jedi Revan good at? Leave the comments in the comments. Hit that like button if you haven't already. And I'm going to let you go. So thank you all so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Zereth prevails.